guys, welcome back to Faro Iron & Customs. I'm Michael, and today we're back on the Volts rod. But first, I have a few packages that I want to open that have to do with the Volts rod. Some of the parts are for the 54. I kind of had intended on this week to rebuild a carburetor on the 54, but the rain is supposed to come in on Sunday, the day that I had intended on working on the 54. So we're going to probably push that back until it's a less rainy day for me to be back in the back building, since there's no electricity back there and the car's sitting basically right at the door, and if the rain's coming in the right direction, we're going to get soaked. So without further ado, let's get into opening some parts. Okay, so I'm trying to make sure that none of the labels are facing, so if there's any serial killers out there stalking me, I mean, you know, it could happen, probably not. Anyway, we're going to start opening these packages. The old shears out. Alright, this one is actually a couple of, what I'm going to do with the 54 for right now, and I bought a package of 2 of these because they were cheap enough. Grabbed a couple of push button starters. Since the key switch is not working in the car, I'm just going to use a push button and toggle switches to run that car with. Let's see. And like I said, I'm not sure. Everything's not here yet. So, you know, that may also hold us up from getting the carburetor rebuilt. Alright, let's see. That is not for the car. That is a ignition coil wiring harness for the Kia, because the clips are broken on that. So I got to do that. Hopefully get that misfire out of the Kia, or that random missing out of the Kia. Hope we don't open anything that's you know, embarrassing. We ain't gonna open nothing that's embarrassing. Alright, let's see. So in this package we have a oh, this is a part for the Mazda. That's perfect. So I'm batting like 300 on this damn opening parts for project cars thing right now. That's alright, we'll get there. Alright. I'm pretty sure this is going to be for the 54. Yeah, went ahead and I'm going to change the car over to 12 volts. Oh, and it went flying. So I went ahead and got a ballast resistor. I'll show y'all how I'm going to wire all the ignition up, if you're not aware of how that wires up when we start working on that. Give me a minute, let me find these bolts and nuts that took off. Okay, so I found the bolts and the 2 washers, but the nut has, as the man says, hauled ice. Alright, so next we have y'all stick with me, we're going to get to some fun stuff here in just a little bit. So this is going to be another part for the 50. I went ahead and picked up a new starter solenoid. The one on the car is working, and I probably will save it. But this starter solenoid is a 12 volt solenoid, and it has I cannot read. I'm sure y'all won't be able to see it, but it has a terminal that says I and a terminal that says, turn it the right way, Michael, that says S. The S wire is your start wire. The I wire goes to whichever side, I'm bound and determined to lose that bolt. It goes to whichever side of your ballast resistor you have wired to your coil, so that when it starts, the contact pulls in the solenoid, puts 12 volts on that connection, and sends 12 volts to the coil, because when you're turning the engine over and so it drops out to 6 volts across this resistor, you send 12 volts to the coil while you're starting. You still have whatever the battery voltage is dropping out to, you know, between 10.5 and 12 volts or whatever it is going straight to the point steering, starting to help you with startup. We'll get more into that when we get to working on, you know, making the wiring for the car. This is probably the last part that is in for the car, for the 54. I do have a couple more switches coming in. I don't think this is a switch. This is, should be, oh, okay. This is the fuel pump kit. So I just bought a generic low pressure fuel pump kit until we decide what we're going to do on that Y block about a fuel pump. I think when we try to get the car running, I'm going to go to an electronic wiper, because I believe, and I have to do some more checking, but I believe the wipers on that car run off of vacuum. So, and like I said, if you watch my Will It Run on that car, and we talked about the fuel pump, it's a fuel pump and a vacuum pump. So, all right, so this ought to be kind of exciting. This is for the Volkswagen. I bought this off of an individual. It was about $20 less than it would have been if I ordered it new. And I think it is still in the package. It's new old stock. This is a Pete and Jake's Saginaw Pitman arm, and this fits the I think this fits the 525, and I said it was a 525 box, but it may be a 122, but it fits a 525, a 122 box, and one of the power steering boxes, and I don't remember what number power steering box this fits, but that's just that's going to be the steering arm. So we'll get into that. We may actually get into that Sunday. Tomorrow, Glenn and I are going to the salvage yard, and I don't know what else I'm going to do after that, but we're going to the salvage yard to look for a steering column. This will be the third or fourth time I've gone looking for a steering column and not found one. Tomorrow, if they do not have one for an automatic, this is a Speedway box. If they do not have one to fit, if they do not have a manual transmission steering column with tilt, I'm just going to grab an auto column, and we'll probably just whack the edge of the column off where the automatic shifter goes into it. Yeah, I've looked and I've looked, and I'm kind of tired of messing around with it. So this is the top arm, steering arm for Ford spindle for your push pull. It will be the opposite end of the link of the Pete and Jake's arm. So you'd have this down at the car, and you'd have this down at the wheel, and this is the part that's attached to the top of the spindle on the car. So that's just some parts for the Volkswagen, some parts for the 54. Y'all do look forward to seeing a Will It Drive on the 54 at some point. I'm very excited about that car. The first video on that car did pretty well on my channel. I think it's already got like 500 views, which, you know, is really good for my channel. You know, anything over like 4 or 5 is good for my channel. And I do appreciate everybody that comes back and watches every video. I am absolutely talking about you, Gary. He comments on every video. Gary at Gary's Car Stuff. Y'all go watch his channel. And anyway, let's get into working on this Volkswagen. All right, guys, I'm gonna make the first cut. This is gonna be the back. This is actually gonna have the transmission tunnel in it, but I'm gonna cut it out big without the tunnel in it, and use this for the top, use this for the bottom. I'm leaving it about 1.5 inches long because when we figure out where the transmission tunnel needs to go, we're going to cut the transmission out, and then we'll be able to put a brake in the bottom for the next section to attach to. Alright, these goes. Y'all can't see my line because I have misplaced my Sharpie and I made the line with a screwdriver. So anyway, that's something else I can pick up tomorrow while Glenn and I are out. So we're going to cut this and rock on. Adjust our guard. When all else fails, use the shrinking stump for your to catch your piece of metal with. Alright guys, I know that's probably a little hard to see. I meant to stop and get a light and haven't done it. So we've stopped right here. Once I get, obviously the wheel well's not going to come that far forward. So it's going to make it weird to attach to the wheel well like that. We'll get into that when we get into that. But I've left this a little tall. We got to break the bottom so that this piece of the floor pan down here can attach, but this is going to be here. The transmission tunnel is going to go from here to the other side. This rod is probably going to have to move over, best I can tell. Like I said, the differential on a Explorer is off-centered, so to the right side, so you can't run the drive shaft straight down the tunnel because it's not in the middle of the car. So we're going to have to move that beam over just a little bit, probably just an inch or so. I knew that the right side of the car was going to be an inch narrower than the left side of the car so far as the seating room goes. So it just is what it is. So I'm going to go and I'm going to have to grab my charger because it says I don't have but 3 minutes of battery left, and I left this thing plugged in. So I don't know what in the heck is going on with it. But we'll do that. We'll come back and we'll cut the other piece for the back. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you guys. So when I originally did this piece of square tubing runs into this piece of square tubing, and then it turns up. So I'm going to have to get a stick of 1-inch square tubing, and I want to cut it out, notch it out, so it will flow right into this. I'll have to do one side at a time. That's the reason why we're not going to attach any of those pans. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to do any kind of bead rolling in that pan until we get the drive shaft sorted, because I don't have a deep enough throat on my bead roller to do that. So I'll be back in just a minute. All right guys, we got our steel marked out to cut. It's 27 3/4 by 24 for that back piece, and then we're going to have to make filler panels to go the rest of the way. I'm probably not going to get into that until we get those inner fender wells done. So, but at least this will get the center of it done, and when Glenn gets here, we'll figure out what we're going to lay out for bead rolling on it. So let's get this cut out. Alright guys, when Glenn gets here, we're going to do some sort of bead rolling in this. We're going to break these edges to be a panel break where we can put the next piece of panel, attach the next piece of panel. And once we get the fender wells made, hopefully next week we'll be able to finish this off in here. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the video earlier or an earlier video, but I'm going to have to think about probably going to bring the panel over to just before where the bolts are in the bag bracket. Then I'm going to have to come up and build like some box to clear the airbag fittings. And what I may even do is completely do away with this panel and create well, I'm not sure yet. We'll get into that when we get that far. So anyway, Glenn just texted. He said he was on the way, and I'm gonna let this battery charge while he's on the way. All right, guys. While I'm waiting for Glenn, I'm just kind of working on creating a wireframe for the transmission tunnel. And what I have done, I don't know if y'all can see this, but I have created two pieces that are the shape of the floor, two pieces of welding rod. I think it's 3/32, and I'm just taking and bending an arch in another piece of welding rod, trying to get it a decent shape and bring it in. It probably doesn't need to be any higher than that. Ain't no need of making it real tall. The transmission and motor is going to have to come out of this car anytime something has to be done because of the X-frame that I've got in the chassis. So, you know, it is what it is. So there's no need of getting bent out of shape trying to, you know, make it where we can get. Alright, that ought to work. Let's see. I'm going to take about 2 inches off. And if y'all don't have a pair of these, this is a pair of Snap-on 3i 1CP and pliers, diagonal cutting pliers. And I have had this pair of pliers for several years, and they're pretty damn awesome. So let's see, I might have to spread it back out just a little bit. I kind of like that. Oops. You know, like I said, we're just getting a rough shape right this minute. A little bit of movement, a little bit of movement. And you want to get this thing close to where it needs to be before you start tacking it, because if you tack it and it's got any tension in it, it's going to take off on you whenever you start to weld it. Whenever that metal gets hot, it's going to take off on you. I don't know if I mentioned this the other day. I'm just using my new titanium welder, the 125 from Harbor Freight. Don't know if I got a good ground here. Oops. And it took off on me. Let's try to get this side tacked to begin with without sticking it to the car. May have to throw something under it like a piece of copper. I think I hear Glenn coming. I definitely hear Glenn coming. Okay guys, Glenn has got here. I have set up the bead roller with a piece of square tubing, and I just clamped it trying to hope this will keep the bead roller from flexing so bad, and I'm going to let him get on the bead roller.
Fun.
Alright, go for it.
What turn on?
Yeah.
What I do to it? Okay.
Alright, run back just a little bit. Come on back just a little bit, right till we get to the line. Okay, go for it. Okay. All right, go ahead. Oh, it's catching on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, back up a little bit. All right, go for it. Wait, we're catching on something. What are we catching on? Go for it. Wait, we're still catching. All right, go for it. It's pulling into that. Yeah, I don't think it's keeping us from flexing. Hold up, Glenn. Let's just take this out. Guys, the little stopper is not helping. It's catching. All right, go for it. A little more. All right, run it back. All right. Yeah, I think my idea was good, but the execution was not what it should have been. Anyway, we're gonna flip it around and get the other side. All right, hang on a minute. All right, go for it. Oh, got off the line a little bit. Come on. All right, guys, we got it set up with the step dies. I hope it's dialed in. Glenn is gonna get turning again. Let me get over here where I can see. All right, go for it. Other way. Yeah, whoa, back up. All right, go for it. Go for it. Slow. Go for it. All right. Hold up. All right, go for it. Oh, easy. All right, go for it. Mr. Iron and Customs is driving like he's been drinking over here. Hang on, guys, we'll be right back. All right, guys, we got them beads in, and it's got a little bow in it where it's stretched. But once I tack it down, that'll be fine. I'm not tacking anything down yet until I get that frame finished, and that should be in the next few days. I'm going to continue working on doing this wireframe butt, so I'll bring you in and out here and there. All right, guys, I don't know if y'all can see that. I'm standing over here next to the wall with the battery charger. that's about as far as I got. Just kind of messed around. Glenn and I BS'd for like, I don't know, probably an hour after we got done rolling that panel. So I'll see y'all at the salvage yard tomorrow because I got to go in and render this video. And anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe.